I'll try it. Hey, this restaurant is fire.
Yeah, I you like it. Green beans.
Yeah.
More green beans?
Yeah, the green beans are fire. Thank you. See, chat, you see why I love Asian women? American, well, white girls and black girls, they would never, like, help you out, stuff like this. So remember that, guys. Marry Asian. Have beautiful kids. You married Asian for that reason? Oh, Jack, you already know. The bloodline in the Meiji era, you had the Kuro, the Black Kings. Yeah, look it up. Kuro means black, means king. Same word they use now for black paint. It used to mean us. Ever heard of the Joman? The people with thick hair, dark skin, and broad faces? Those were the original islanders. Every archaeologist worth their student loans knows it. The bones don't lie, but the university paycheck do. Check the Tohoku University digs. They literally found afro-textured hair impressions in ancient pottery. Receipts, baby. Then you had the Satsuma and Ryukyu nobles down in Okinawa, darker than half your cousins on funeral day in July. They traded with Africa and Indonesia before Europe could even spell ship. You want sources. Look at Portuguese travel logs from the 1500s. They described the rulers as brown and tattooed like Moors. And don't get me started on the black Buddhist monks coming up from Sri Lanka and India. They're the ones who taught martial arts to China, before Bruce Lee even became a thesis topic. That's right, Shaolin didn't start with no pale ball extras in kung fu movies. Go look up Bodhidharma. He ain't white, he ain't East Asian. That man looked like he eats fufu and sparring for breakfast. Before they painted everybody pale and pretended we ain't never existed, the rulers of the East looked more like your aunties and uncles after a hot summer day. These were Jomon queens, Shang kings, Okinawan sea lords, black shoguns, the Moorish monarchs who ran the Silk Road before silk even had a price tag. But then the Meiji boys got insecure, China started bleaching its history books, the Mongols got whitewashed like they dropped into a bucket of baby powder, and suddenly everybody want to act like Asia been pale since the Shar-Chow dynasty. Lies. Before the erasure, Europeans were still writing about black nobles in Japan, calling them Moorish Asiatics and drawing them with afros, broad noses, and royal kimonos.
Shalom. I like to say all praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Makakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. And this is going in regards to Jake's that had the civilization here, there in China, right? Our people were a part of great civilizations in Asia, during the Middle Ages and even way before the Middle Ages. You had Israelites that were scattered in China, right? And this is off of Chat GPT. So Black Civilization in China. This is off the AR overview. Evidence suggests a significant and though often overlooked, presence It says it says presence of people of African descent in ancient China, with a theory. It says that proposing that in the early dynasties such as Zai in 1200 to 1800 BC, and the Shang dynasty 1500 to 1000 BC, may have been founded or influenced by the black population. Right. So this is a lot of great information. I remember many years ago, um Elder Jeremiah, he made he had a lot of videos and information books and stuff on the internet and stuff going into the Shang dynasty, right? Which that like that was an Israelite dynasty, right? In there in China, all right, and that's why many years ago, probably like 2010, 2011, Micah, he's not in the truth anymore, but he was we went to the royal museum here in Toronto, right? And they had like a thing, I think it was the Han dynasty, one of these great dynasties in China. And they had woolly hair, they had woolly hair, big nose, so so they know, right? These Chinese historians and Esau knows that our people had a great role in in history, right? But they like they don't want a lot of information out there, right, for the average person, right? um there's a precept, says make my hands to fight. Yeah, this is Psalms 144 and 1, a psalm of David. Blessed be the Lord my strength, with teeth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Right. So when King David, when he was in power and for many years, right? When you go into Abraham, when you go into the sons of God, right, which were known as the sons of God back then, prior to the flood, right? Our people were always skilled in martial arts, and that's why a lot of Jake, we resonate, with those kung fu movies, those martial arts movies, because that was us, man. That was us. Um, I have a book as well. A very good book. It says the Jews. This is um a historical atlas of the Jewish people from the time of the patriarchs to the present, by Alan Barron. And I'm going to share some of my video. I want to share some videos that I did couple years last year and years before. I will share it in the description if you haven't watched it. It goes into jakes that were in Asia, in China and stuff. So it says 1600 to 1050 BC, the Shang, the earliest dynasty in Chinese history that can be verified through written and archaeological evidence. Established around 1600 BC, it was centered into the North China along the Yellow River. So this is off the Shang. This is the Shang dynasty. This is off the air overview. It says it was centered in northern China along the Yellow River Valley. So the so-called cradle says to uh so-called cradle of China civilization, right? So our people played a great role, in these dynasties, man, right? Because our people had a lot of them were merchants, right? And they were booming, back in those times. Jake was booming, had great civilizations and stuff, and a lot of them knew that they were Jews as well. So so they would practice the laws, for the most part. You know, um, there's another thing too. Even that video with what's the name, that Rampage Jackson, where he went to like a Asian restaurant and he had like two women with him that were feeding him. So that's because those Asian women are they're very like submissive, that they're very like submissive, to their husband. That's why a lot of Jake, is with Asian women, because they're very submissive. It's not like the so-called black woman, or even the so-called white woman. The Asian woman is very submissive. So certain brothers do have Oriental wives and stuff, or Oriental concubines that that check for them, right? Because they're very submissive and very dainty. They're very what's the word? They're very petite, right? They're very feminine, right? Because these people, man, are so like these women, and no, mainly the so-called black woman is very masculine, you know. But Jake, we played a major role in these civilizations, and I will share some of these links that I did last year, and so going into the Jakes that are in Asia, I will share them, because that's why even when you go to like Japan, when you go to Korea, right? Um, these Korean people, they gravitate toward Jake. They listen, like they play a lot of and do a lot of Israelite. They call it K-pop in Korea, and they basically like they like gravitate toward Jake, you know. And that's why there's going to be a lot of Israelite foreigners that's going to be saved. So Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which thou nor thy father have known, even when the soul. And basically that's what happened, right? We were scattered. And when you go into even like the wars in America, where a lot of American troops, they went to like Vietnam, and they went to certain places in Asia, right? And they had a lot of kids. When you go into the wars that were in like the 1960s and 1970s, Jake went over there, and they popped a lot of those Oriental women, and they had many kids. And that's why a lot of Jake are in Asia. They're known as Malaysian, black and Asian, and in the kingdom, right? I'm gonna have, Lord's will, if I make it, I'm gonna have a lot of harems, a lot of with a lot of Oriental, those what do you call it? Those Moab and Ammon, right? Have some beautiful wives, beautiful queens. Sorry, like beautiful wives, you know, Yeah, you know. Um, so I'm gonna share these links in the description. We didn't want to go too long. So with that, let us all praise the duty. How about Hashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kwadash? I will share these links in the description, where you could get more information. You could do you could do your own studies and make content going into jakes that were in Asia. All right, so with that, like to say our praise duty. How about Hashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kwadash? Double honor to Pastor Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.